All right. Hello, people. This is Sul and Eugenia, who stayed up all night worrying about the current state of affairs in Europe. And she recently just had her first morning coffee, while I'm, on the other hand, am in Europe. And we decided to get together and do a little astro, what do you call it? Astro blurb? Is that what you call it? Like an astro...
A Uranian burst, I
Yes.
like to call it.
Yeah, that's what we're going to do. And from time to time, when we feel inspired, we will drop by the big web and have our say in the big brain of the internet. And I think, especially now, today, I know a lot of people are worried about the current state of affairs. I mean, this is the summer of high excitement. And I think a lot of us are eagerly waiting for the scary music, as it once was. There was a comedian who said, "Now, where's the scary music?" That's when like we're waiting for it. It was Jim Carrey, by the way. Yes. So how are you feeling today, Eugenia?
Yes, I'm tired. I'm absolutely tired. I was just about to go to bed last night. It was maybe 11 o'clock, which is way past my bedtime anyway. And I see all of my British friends start posting on the Facebook, "What the fuck?" was what all of them said. And devastated and words like that was what was happening. And I had the opportunity to live in England for quite some time, and I love it. And I had a great experience there. And I was friends with people from all over the world who lived there. And I loved it. And I have friends there still. And so when I saw the news kind of coming, I was shocked, to say the very least. Like a Uranian, like, whoa, did not see that coming. And so I was talking to one British gal for a while. I stole her time and asked her how she was feeling and what the country was going through. And I was watching the BBC. And of course, I pulled up the chart. And the chart is very interesting for this, honestly, incredibly historical event. There's no other way to name this. This is one of those things I think we'll remember throughout time, because this is a very... big, important decision that the UK just made. So I am thrilled to talk to you and kind of just share some insight that we might have through the chart, through the sky, and why this may be kind of occurring right now and what the implications are in a bigger cosmic way and more of a social way. So yes, I'm doing okay. I think I'm just shocked. I think it's just something I didn't see coming. So that's all. So let's talk about it.
Well, for a while now, I've had my eye on the current polarization between the old and the new ever since Saturn passed through Scorpio. Yeah. Because Scorpio, Saturn, Capricorn, Scorpio, these two signs, they are actually quite intense and raw, and together they can show, for instance, narcissism, and there's this xenophobia. That's suddenly a word everybody knows, xenophobia, and there's this hostility that is created through the threat of our own resources, our own habitat. And when it's very primal, it's from the darkest place in our instinctual nature that we are all in it for survival, and that this thought that there's not enough to go around is creating this massive racial instinct. And I thought when Saturn entered Sagittarius, which was last year for permanent stay, I thought, well, this will be interesting, because we know, if we studied a little astrology, that Saturn in Sagittarius is all about opinions and belief and this fundamental basic stuff, what you believe in. And you might have an intuition, but it's always filtered through the subjective filter. So you might get a colored opinion. And that's why at the end of the spectrum we call Sagittarius, we find fanaticism and fanatics and racism, actually. And,
absolutely. Yeah,
so we might, and now, right now, this summer, this is the summer of chaos and disruption. I hear some people are saying it's the summer of love. I don't know. Well, you have to be really positive in order to see that, because although you might be going through a very nice personal development, which is good, I think, also that we have to accept the fact that there's a lot of there's this feeling in the collective that can be very stressful for the common mind. You know, we don't know how to process all these changes, and you will have this polarization between old and new, as we discussed in that Uranus workshop we had not long ago. So I'm thinking
to watch people.
Yeah. This summer we have Saturn-Neptune, and we will soon also, as fall progresses, have Neptune closer and closer to the south node in Pisces. And I've been having my eye on that one for quite a while, darling, because
yes, it's a big one.
It's a big one, and we just gotta stay sane and stay, you know, keep the eye on the path and on the light. And it's not easy, right?
Yeah, and it's funny that you mentioned the summer of love, because of course this is all Pluto-Uranus stuff as well, right? So the conjunction in the late 60s, early 70s, and they called 69 the summer of love. And that summer of love also was incredibly destructive and incredibly revolutionary. And I do see this as kind of a double-edged sword of sorts. We've got Pluto on one end of the spectrum when this moment happened here, and we've got Venus and Sun in Cancer on the other spectrum. And and that's love. You know, that's like a bursting energy of love, but it's opposing the god of the underworld. And there's a transformative nature to both. Like, we really see both when these big things are emerging, right? It's kind of like when a baby's born, you know, that's like really painful and gruesome and gross, but it's also like this really love-filled, joy-filled type of a scenario. And one of the things that what stood out to me about the chart right now is last year I sat down and I did a pretty thorough study of war in the charts, and I really looked at every war I could find and really looked to see what was the big notes in it. And oftentimes you see Capricorn Cancer opposition stuff going on, heavy Cancer, heavy Capricorn. And if we think about that like a larger spectrum way, when we're talking about Cancer, we're talking about the mother, we're talking about the feminine, we're talking about the receptive. When we're talking about Capricorn, we're talking about the father, the patriarch, the penetrative. And when those two combine, there's something combustible about it. And with one of the friends I was talking to while this was all happening, she said, I feel like I just got the news that my mom and dad got divorced. Like, that's the only way I can describe what I feel like as a British person right now, that my parents just got divorced and I have to choose sides, and I don't know where to go or where I'm going to go or how this is going to look. And to me, that's totally mirrored with this heavy Cancerian influence opposing this heavy Capricornian influence, because it's like that tug of war between yin and yang. And right. And I think that, you know, a lot of people, I've made some opinions on Facebook just because I'm in shock and I just feel a little sad for some people. And then of course people are saying, yes, but the higher vibration of understanding this is that it's all part of the game of life. There's destruction, there's growth, and that is all true. And so there could, you know, the implications of what could happen are vast and unknown. Major growth can come out of this, major destruction can come out of this, both are possible. But if we really look back to when this seeded in the late 60s and 70s, and now this is the first quarter turn, so this is the summer solstice of this revolution. The best way I can think of it is my plants right now that I've been trying to document through Facebook to show people, like, when the seeds pop out of the underworld and then they start growing. And well, now they're not bloomed yet. Like, my flowers aren't bloomed and my veggies aren't ready to harvest, but their leaves are out. The photosynthesizing solar panels of these plants are out, but they're getting slammed. They're getting slammed with hail. So like, I'm actually going to work on fixing that today. They're getting slammed with incredible sun and heat right now, these really tumultuous rainstorms. So they're really getting beat up during the summer solstice, which is right now. And the ones who are going to survive and thrive are the ones who are going to, make it all the way through the cycle. But some of them are getting lost right now in the process. And so I really see this phase of the revolution as this is a really good indicator. It's really, it's like the Arab Spring. It's like all these things we've been seeing since 2012. There's good bits to the all of this, and then there's destructive bits as well. It's both, but the ones that will and need to survive will. So like the intention of the seed planted in the 60s will make it. It's just getting beat up a little bit right now is kind of how I see it. So
Well, I think, when you mention cancer, I think it's fair to mention also that cancer is the homeland. It's the mother
Absolutely.
core. It is on a personal level, it's what we want and what we need and me.
Mhm.
So it's very, sorry, cancer. I really appreciate cancers by all means because they teach me how to embrace my own needs. But it's like, if I don't
Totally.
want to, I don't want to, that kind of phase
Mhm.
that, like we are separating, and nationalism is the ugly black dark side of cancer, where you
Yeah,
have, I mean, U.S. is a cancer, homeland security. That's,
totally.
that's the mantra of the U.S. Homeland
Build
security.
a
We're gonna build a
wall.
wall, and it's so it's building up to this xenophobia that is sort of where we decided that we have some enemies, and we sort of agree that it's the same kind of enemy. But we have to also look at this is Pluto in Capricorn. It's all the way up until 2025. We're going to have an intensity about survival and about how we structure our economy. This is all funded, in the if the economy system hadn't been as it was, where we all want to win the big price of capitalism, which is luxury, we wouldn't have this problem. If we had a fair share of the natural resources, we could all live decently. But since we are not getting that, it's a fucking battle from day to day. And
Yep.
it's many people, it's driving them into a personality that is not exactly who they are, because you
Totally.
become somebody else when you're hungry. And I just want to see how much sun you can shine through your eyes on a good day. I'm more impressed if you can shine the same light on a bad day when you're feeling afraid that you won't survive tomorrow. So the compassion that we always should have and bring in, which is Neptune in Pisces, is that
Mm.
there's a reason for this fear. And if we keep
Yeah.
polarizing, if we keep one side keep to one conspiracy theory, the other side to the other conspiracy theory, we're going to have conspiracy theories versus one another.
Yeah. Well, and I was just gonna say, and it's funny, we're having our Uranian interruptions because my computer in my car is about to die. I'm recording this for my
Yeah.
home in the mountains, and I don't get internet. I'm at my local library. Thanks, local public libraries, all funded by generous donations from the community. See, these are good things. But I guess kind of a thought before my computer does die here pretty soon is yes, we are a tribal group of people, and we had these little tribes, and they fought against each other. So now we're seeing this tribal thing reemerge, like get out of our country, right? Like building walls. I mean, we're seeing it here in America with Trump. He wants to build a wall, and there's a lot of people really into the idea. But what I'm hoping will happen with this is going to ignite such emotion in people, or such inspiration in people to really unite as one tribe. I mean, once the aliens start coming, and once we are now aliens and different planets, we are now the human species tribe, I would hope, is where we're moving into. And we're going to be pushed into it when events like this happen, because people are going to realize, oh my God, like, we're reverting back into small tribes right now. This is not progressive. This is not evolution. And so let's become the human tribe. But perhaps that's a thought I have. I have 7% left on my battery. Do we have some last thoughts before my computer dies?
Yeah, well, that is unity. That's the unity principle. It's a nice high ideal.
Totally.
The last little thought that I had is that you have to make sure that you won't, what we are now making sure is that we are not sleeping with those who are wanting our energies and not giving anything back. And that's the big conspiracy theory behind everything right now. It is that the big bucks,
Yeah.
the CEOs, the corporations, they're screwing people over, and people want their fair share, so we don't have to fight for these. How can we have a global society if we can't trust our leaders to want our own best?
Yeah.
This is the problem. So the body, I tend to see Neptune as one organism. It's our global body, and there's many viruses and small diseases in this global body. Now, that's difficult to live with. I can understand people want to isolate and build a wall. But I agree with you, because we are Uranians. We want to have the group brotherhood. Yeah.
I really do. I mean, listen, I've lived all over the world, and I would be devastated if I had never had that opportunity. If there was walls in other countries, my mind is, you know, it's limited for many reasons, but it's pretty expansive because I've lived in Asia, I've lived in Oceania, I've lived in Europe, I've lived all over the world. And so my perception of reality is vast and broad. And when we're talking about the people who just voted what they did, or the people in this country who often vote for less progressive, they've never seen outside of their village. They think that the world operates, so, you know, middle Americans believe that the whole world looks like, they've never been, of course they're going to be scared if someone of a different nationality walks into their little white farm town, because it's a tribal response. I don't know you, fight, you're dangerous. But when you live in cities and when you live around the world, you realize that the world's not actually that scary. People are pretty cool. I traveled around the world as a 19-year-old white girl in like foreign third world countries by myself, and I never got hurt. Nobody ever hurt me. Like, I trusted that the universe got my back, and I got the back of the universe, and I never feared people because there was nothing to fear. It's been indoctrinated to fear other tribes. It's bullshit. And as a Uranian Aquarian, I'm over it. It's disgusting. It's stupid. See you later, patriarch. Like you're all getting pulled down. You know, I'm watching the BBC and it's all these old white men like, we won, and I'm like, yeah, but you're about to lose, like, in a much larger way. This is the age of Aquarius. Move along. Time for new energy. Yeah. So my computer's about to die. Last thoughts.
Yes, last thought is that this is the last square between Jupiter and Saturn before we have a new Jupiter-Saturn cycle in 2020. So until then, we just have to maintain a high vibe and do our best to survive in this world of lots of unknowns. So thank you for the input, Eugenia, and I think we'll let your computer rest for a little while and perhaps juice up a little bit.
Yes, and we hope you all enjoyed this Uranian burst. We'll hope to bring them to you from now on.
Bye-bye.
Much love to all of you. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Love to all of you.